It starts quietly. No one notices at first. You're 7 years old, standing in the hallway, staring into the eyes of a parent who is falling apart. Maybe it's addiction. Maybe it's unchecked rage. Maybe it's just the hollow, terrifying silence of someone too broken to show up for you. And in that moment, without words, something ancient and biological clicks in your small mind. A survival program initializes. If I don't hold everything together, no one will. This is how a child disappears. Not physically, you are still there, eating dinner, going to school, brushing your teeth. But psychologically, you begin to fade. You smile more, but it doesn't reach your eyes. You cry less because tears take up space you don't have. You learn to read the room before you even enter it, sensing the atmospheric pressure of the house like a human barometer. You become the emotional thermostat of the household. You become a small adult long before your mind is ready to hold that weight. And the tragedy is the world praises you for it. You're so mature for your age. You're such an old soul. You're so responsible, so low maintenance. They call it maturity. But no one ever stops to ask at what cost. This is the invisible grief of those who grew up too fast. This is the silent epidemic of the good child. And today, we are going deep inside the psychology of that child, your inner child. Because the effects of this transformation don't vanish when you turn 18. They shape you, they calcify. They follow you into your marriages, your careers, your sleepless nights, and your sense of worth. And if you don't understand what happened to you back then, you will spend your entire adult life repeating the survival patterns that once saved you, but are now slowly killing you. Let's start with what is actually happening beneath the surface developmentally. When children are forced to emotionally or logistically support adults, psychologists call this parentification. It is a reversal of the natural order. It is when a child is drafted into the role of the caregiver, the peacekeeper, the therapist, or the protector. This is a fundamental rewiring of your nervous systems. There are two types of this theft. First, there is instrumental parentification. This is when you were the one making dinner at age 9 because mom couldn't get out of bed. You were the one getting your siblings ready for school, paying the bills with money you found in the couch, or translating legal documents for parents who couldn't speak the language. But then there is the more subtle, more insidious form, emotional parentification. This is when you became the confidant. This is when a parent told you details about their marriage that no child should know. When they cried on your shoulder about their loneliness. When you had to mediate fights, you became the spousal substitute, filling the emotional void left by a partner who was absent or abusive. This rewires the brain because childhood is supposed to be a time of receivings, but you were forced into a state of giving. And when a developing brain is consistently put in charge of regulating the emotions of scary, unpredictable adults, and when a developing brain is consistently put in charge of regulating the emotions of scary, unpredictable adults, you are essentially living in a war zone. You are always scanning for danger. You track the heavy footsteps in the hallway to know if dad is drunk or sober. You analyze the micro expressions on mom's face to see if it's a good day or a bad day. You learn that safety is not a right, it is a wage you earn through performance. You learn that love is a transaction. You give peace, you give silence. And maybe, just maybe, they will give you safety in return. You learn the most dangerous lesson of all your needs are a threat. If you cry, you add stress to an already stressed system. So you learn to suppress, you learn to make yourself small, you learn to disappear. And in the vacuum where your authentic self should have grown, a false self is constructed. You become the good child, the quiet achiever, the therapist friend. You become the good child, the quiet achiever, the therapist friend. But deep down, in the quiet moments of your life, something hurts, something aches. That is because the inner child you buried didn't die. They are still in there, frozen in time, screaming silently, "Why didn't anyone protect me?" As you grow older, this survival strategy morphs into a complex web of adult symptoms. Hyper independence. You refuse help. You view dependency as a weakness. When someone offers support, your body physically tenses up. Deep down, you are terrified of being a burden. So you do everything. You carry the weight of the world, exhausting yourself. The inability to rest. For you, productivity is not just a habit, it is your only source of worth. For you, productivity is not just a habit, it is your only source of worth. In your childhood home, resting meant you weren't managing the environment. You are running on an engine of anxiety that believes you must earn your existence every single day. Emotional numbness and the fawn response. You might feel numb during happy moments. Joy feels suspicious to you. You are waiting for the other shoe to drop. You are also likely a master of the fawn response, people pleasing on steroids. You can walk into a room and instantly know what everyone else needs. You have become a chameleon, blending into whatever shape keeps the peace. But the cost is that you have no idea who you actually are. You have spent so long tuning into others' frequencies that you have lost your own signal. Chaotic relationships. You might find yourself attracted to partners who need saving. You find fixer upper relationships because chaos feels like home. A stable, boring, healthy partner who wants to take care of you feels alien. You are unconsciously trying to rewrite the ending of your childhood trauma, but it never works. It just re traumatizes you. The collapse. Eventually, the armor cracks. It looks like burnout. It looks like a midlife crisis. It looks like a sudden, overwhelming wave of grief or rage. This is not a breakdown, it is a breakthrough. It is your authentic self finally clawing its way to the surface. It is your body saying, no more, I cannot pretend to be this strong anymore. Why would any child willingly take on this role? Because children will do anything for attachment, even abandon themselves. To a child, attachment is survival. If fixing them secures your bond with them, you will do it. The choice is never conscious, it is biological. In the absence of safety, the child sacrifices authenticity for belonging. That is not weakness, that is intelligence. That is a brilliant, adaptive instinct. But the tragedy is this: what saved you then imprisons you now. So many of us are walking around as high functioning adults, CEOs, doctors, with deeply neglected inner children pulling the strings. We overachieve to earn love. We stay silent to avoid abandonment. We take care of everyone but secretly wish someone would just look at us and ask if we are okay, that maybe, just maybe, you will finally get to fall apart and be held. That is the unmet need. Not of your adult self. Your adult self can handle bills and logistics, but of the child who never got to be a child. The path to healing, reparenting. It begins with witnessing. You must stop gaslighting yourself. How many times have you told yourself, it wasn't that bad? I turned out fine. You must validate the reality of what happened. You were robbed of your carefree years. You have to grieve that. This is the brutal part of healing. You have to weep for the birthdays where no one showed up mentally. But that grief, it is not weakness, it is the ice melting. Ask the inner child what they need. I needed someone to help me. I needed to play. You become the parent you never had. Practice doing nothing. The anxiety will rise. Acknowledge it and say, I am safe. Test the waters of vulnerability. Ask for help with a small task. Watch what happens. The world doesn't end. Stop seeking parents in your partners. Recognize it not as love, but as a trauma bond. No one is coming to rescue the child you buried because you are already here. You are the one who must go back and hold their hand. You didn't deserve that. You were just a child. You can put the weight down now. This is the beginning of the rest of your life. Not a life of performing, but a life of being. Carl Jung once said, people will do anything to avoid facing their own soul. But shadow work demands that we face it, all of it. Healing is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Your maturity was never the problem. The problem was that you had no choice. You can choose softness. You can choose to rest. Let that child come home. Let them cry. Let them play. Let them finally be seen. Because you are not broken. You are simply becoming whole. You never had a childhood, but you still have a future. And this time, you get to write it.